Every year in the NFL, it's a new team. As far as goals go, we have one. Putting a f***ing ring on our finger.
Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer Podcast. This is Ralph Phillips.
I'm Molly Bay.
Today is September 24th, 2020. A couple days till kickoff at Denver. That is a 4:25 p.m. game. We keep mentioning that because we don't want you to miss it.
We have to remind ourselves. It's hard to keep up with all the schedules. You know, last week we missed our daughter's dance class. Just completely forgot about it.
We did. We remembered it as soon as it was over.
Yeah. I was like, oh, she had danced today.
Yeah, she had. We got her to it today, though. So all is good in the world. And I'm finally catching up with the game film, which we're going to talk about that a little bit. We've got a good episode for you. We're going to talk about the All-22 with the Carolina Panthers from Week 2. Molly's got the preview for the Denver game. Now, we have not watched any Denver. I do not think so. Have we watched any Denver?
No.
I think we watched part of one.
Because they played all AFC games. They played Tennessee Week 1 and Pittsburgh
No, we watched
last
Tennessee.
week.
No, we watched part of Tennessee. We watched the last part because we had a choice between games, and we said, oh, we're playing Denver eventually, so let's watch them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I remember that.
A lot of good it did us. I know.
I was drunk at the time. And anyhow, it doesn't matter because Denver is a whole new team now.
I know. They've lost a lot of people.
They have lost every starter and half their second stringers, I think. Between them and 49ers, they're going for the most injured award this year.
And you have to wonder with these teams that have a ton of injuries, like, what's the difference? Is it bad luck? Is it they weren't doing enough conditioning, like their strength and conditioning coaches? Was it, were they not tackling in practice? So it's the first tackling they're getting?
Right. You never know. But this seems to happen, well, I don't know. We've had two teams that hit really, really hard in Week 2.
Well, I think the lack of the preseason really did affect teams.
Yeah, I do too. But there's always a team. I mean, that's how everything works. There's the tail in both ends, you know.
Yeah. We've been hit with injury bug before.
Yeah.
Quite a few times.
We've had rough bouts with injuries over the past decade, and I chalked it up a lot to the trainers. I felt like there was just way too many injuries consistently every year. There was something they were doing wrong. But we got any fact-checking follow-ups?
No. Wait. I did have some on my phone. I forgot to do them.
Okay. We're going to take a pause here for a second while we get some notes. And thanks to modern technology, we are back with notes.
I did that in like 3 seconds.
You are so quick.
I'm so quick. Fact check. The Olympian that the Buccaneers brought in was in 2013. His name was Jeff Driskel. He had played.
Every time you say that, I go, that's right. That's the guy.
That's it. I never would have guessed that. Yep. He played with the Patriots in 2012. And then he was with us 2013 and 2014. And then he went to the Colts in 2014. So apparently we cut him at some point. And stayed there until 2015. And then he's been out of the league. So that was his NFL career.
Yeah, there you go. Running fast doesn't translate to being a good football player.
Never does.
Although, making it in the NFL is a big deal.
Yeah, and the Olympics. Come on.
Yeah. Right.
Come on.
Yeah, that's so much commitment. I mean, you're talking about years and years. It's basically the equivalent of getting a doctorate, but you don't get paid. Well,
it's like college athletes. It's kind of similar.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
It really is fascinating to me at how dedicated these guys have to be to go through so many years of basically putting your body on the line just for the shot that maybe one day you might possibly, and it's a small, small, small chance. What else we got?
Fact check. Shaq Barrett's agent is Drew Rosenhaus, so Molly was right on that one. It's the only reason that made it in there.
Yeah, are there any fact checks where you're wrong?
No.
I need to start doing the fact checks again because, man, you were wrong a lot if I recall.
The play where this is a follow up where JPP flipped over Robbie Anderson, or Robbie Anderson got flipped over. Sean Murphy-Bunting was the other one in that play.
Yeah, he came in, torpedoed his legs, flipped him right up in the air.
That was awesome.
And then JPP mopped him up.
I know. Brett Favre was at the game because he was credentialed media. So.
Yeah. I think we had talked about that in one of the daily videos.
But not the podcast.
Now, did you hear that some of the Buccaneers players are kind of upset because the Saints are allowing family members into the stadium to watch the games?
Oh.
And the Bucs are like, hey, why can't we do that?
Well, Ryan Jensen tweeted about the Brett Favre thing. He retweeted the video and was like, Brett Favre can come in, but my family can't.
Well, the coronavirus is especially adept at not attacking anybody that's got a Hall of Fame jersey or jacket. He's in the Hall of Fame, right?
Fact check, follow up.
That's like a brain fart there. He's got to be.
He's been out of the league since 2000.
I don't really pay attention.
And he had to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he had
question.
To have been. Had to have been. All right, what else?
That's it.
That's it? So we didn't mess up, or I didn't mess up much. You didn't mess up at all.
Mm-mm.
Strange.
See how that works.
Yeah. So anyhow, the game Sunday, another very interesting game in the sense that it wasn't interesting. It's very strange.
I feel like this happens on our wins.
Yeah, well, it does.
The wins are kind of boring when you do the film analysis.
Yes, it does happen a lot because you're like, it's not, you're not looking for why did we lose? What was the reason and all that good stuff.
Or ways to improve.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of stuff in there, but compared to the New Orleans game, which I showed you my notes on the spreadsheet, and it was every single play almost, that's rare. And this one is this is about normal. It's about every fourth play, taking notes. So it was a big difference. And plus I was able to get through this one a lot quicker too. Thank God. It was very strange in that it just wasn't outstanding. There wasn't a whole lot outstanding there. There was a lot of small things, but nothing really big. We know, of course, our receivers dropped a lot of balls. If they wouldn't have dropped those balls, Tom Brady would have had a 400 or 500 yard day, 6 touchdowns. Other than that, everything just kind of went good. I tell you, our defense is really, really, really playing well. Our secondary, fantastic. Our defensive line is playing good. Linebackers are playing good. Now, I want to see more out of Shaq Barrett. We talked about that. They've got him. Last year, he started off playing on the right side, going up against the left tackle. And when JPP came back, they switched him. And they switched him quite a bit throughout the season. This year, they're not. JPP's always playing on the right. Shaq's always playing on the left. That's strange. Then, like we talked about in the last podcast, they're dropping Shaq and JPP back quite a bit. Not JPP as much, but so Shaq is not getting those pass rush opportunities. So last week he had 13 out of, I want to say it was 60 plays he was in. Now those weren't all passing plays. So 13 out of probably 30 passing plays, so almost half. He was dropping back into coverage. Now, he would drop back into coverage in this game quite a bit too, but not near as much. I didn't care to take precise notes on how many. I could sit here and count them up, but I'd say probably 5 times. And JPP, probably about the same. We actually dropped back Vita once. Yeah.
Why did they do that?
I know. It's so funny because the guy can't jump. Every time you see him jump, he'll jump up and try and bat a ball down.
Well,
he goes, honestly, 6 inches is about the highest I've ever seen him
he's
jump.
300 pounds.
Yeah, big boy. He can run. Can't jump. So we've got that. And speaking of Vita, I've got notes on just about everybody on the defensive line have got good marks, where I take notes and I write down in a play when they do good. I've got 45, got 93. He did the best of the night. He's got quite a few good plays. 35, 90, 54, 58, 92, 24, 28, 28 again, 93, so forth and so on. You notice whose number I didn't call out there?
Vita.
Right. That's been 2 games in a row where he hasn't really done anything. And he's not playing bad. He's just not playing Vita. Super Vita. And he needs to step it up. He needs to step it up. And I like to see Shaq Barrett step it up too. Although, again, he's not playing bad. And they're not getting beat. They're not getting thrown around the field. They're not making these spectacular plays like we're used to.
Do you think it's just that everyone else is making spectacular plays? There's no plays left for poor Vita and Shaq. Did you ever think about that?
It could be. I think
the rest of the defense needs to share. That's the problem.
I think it's more of last week against week 1 against the Saints. There was so much holding that nobody could do anything. And then also Drew Brees gets the ball out so quick most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
There was probably in week 1, there was maybe 3, 4, a handful of passes where he held the ball longer than 3 seconds. That's it.
Yeah.
Not many. And when he did, we got to it.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Bridgewater. He didn't hold the ball long at all either. He was getting rid of it quick. So, that's hurting Shaq and Vita, as far as they're pressuring the quarterback. But also, Shaq's on the other side, and he's playing that role constantly. And he said that it was a mutual agreement between him and JPP. JPP likes the right side.
Oh.
Shaq doesn't really care, so he was like, I'll take left. He thinks he could do better over on the left. And defensive coordinator was cool with it. So, but I'll tell you what, our defense, we said this last year when we hired him, that we were going to see some crazy stuff on defense, just crazy formations and all that. And we did last year. This year, man, they are bumping it up a crazy notch.
Oh, really?
Crazy.
And they're playing so well.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They are so coordinated, and their communication is spot on. It's like, I love watching the linebackers. Linebackers move in sync.
Mm-hmm.
I always watch for that, and we do it so pretty. It's really neat. But you could see them communicating with each other, and then everybody just gets right in sync. But we're doing some crazy stuff on defense. We're rarely blitzing, but it feels and looks like we are. Because a lot of times, like I said, we'll drop guys back from the line and rush in the linebackers or cornerbacks or a safety, and it's just, we're throwing so many looks, But I'll tell you this, we are 100 times better in man coverage than we are in zone. Not to say we're bad at zone, but a lot of the plays we give up are in zone coverage. Of course, that has a lot to do with the end of the game when we were just letting them march down the field slowly. But we are a much better man coverage team than we are zone.
It's interesting what you said about the communication, because Sean Murphy-Bunting was mic'd up this past week, and you could just tell, like, he's super vocal. He is kind of like Devin White is, as far as like with the other teammates, and especially him and Antoine Winfield spent a lot of time together on the film. Like, he was always talking to Antoine, and Antoine kind of, it might have been just because he wasn't mic'd up, but he was a little more like serious and subdued. Like, he wasn't quite as vocal, but Sean Murphy-Bunting was really vocal, and it surprised me how much he seemed like a leader on the team.
Yeah.
But they were just all, yucking it up together and talking, and they were all very vocal.
Well, we've watched throughout the years where, a broken play on the defense or whatever, and you'll see after the play, guys kind of get together and, are like, what happened? And other, they're like, I don't know. We've seen that throughout the years. Haven't seen that at all this year. At all.
Really? None of the finger pointing and the yelling at each other?
Nope. Not a single one where they don't, where they're confused at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a extremely, extremely complex defense.
Well, and think about what this does for the offense, too, because last year the defense really didn't gel until maybe like 2/3 of the way through the season, maybe halfway. Mm-hmm. And the offense was doing great at times and then sometimes not so great. But the thing with Jameis is that like he puts a lot of pressure on himself to, carry the team sometimes. And I kind of felt that way, especially when the defense wasn't gelled yet and wasn't kind of performing. Like Jameis kind of took that on himself. And now here we have Tom on the offense instead, and the defense is gelling. So it takes off that pressure, I think, from the quarterback as much. And then you've got a quarterback who's a little more composed and capable of taking the pressure.
Yes. I'll get to that in a second about Brady's performance. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's helping the offense a lot.
Year. Yeah. What a difference it makes. Yeah. Especially on an offense that's still kind of gelling, for lack of a better word.
Yes. We are gelling very well on defense. I can tell you that. There was I'll go through a couple plays here real quick. A 2:28 in the first quarter. Devin White actually tipped the ball, causing it to go errant. Teddy Bridgewater threw it. It was incomplete. That was something I saw on game film, but it wasn't in the broadcast. On special teams, Jack Sitchie got his face mask held. I put this in the
so he still is on the team. Yeah. We were asking that the other day. I didn't remember him getting cut, but I hadn't seen him. Yeah. I think he's like 46,
48,
right? 48. Okay.
Yeah, he was playing special teams, and he pushes Jermaine Carter, number 56 from Carolina Panthers. Just kind of pushes him in the chest, maybe got a little bit of his neck or anything, and it was almost kind of like an offhanded push. He's getting ready to run down the field, so he just pushes the guy. This guy took great offense to it, apparently.
What?
Because he reaches out and grabs Sitchie's face mask and just yanks his head, and then follows him all the way down the field, just hitting him and pushing him, and, like harassing him. Yeah, the guy calls a fair.
What an
fair
overreaction!
No, it was. I don't know. Maybe they don't like each other.
He's got mental problems. He was having a bad day.
It was a fair catch, and how everybody just kind of jogs down the field and everything. Well, yeah. Sitchie's kind of jogging down the field, and this guy's like pushing him and all that. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Calm down, man.
He takes his job on special teams very seriously.
He was serious about that. Sue had a lot of good plays. Sue played very well. And Dean did pretty good. And Dean's been disappointing to me. He's made more mistakes this year than he's had good plays, but I think he's going to get up to steam. I definitely think Bruce Arians knows more than me about football, because I would have said to put Dean in instead of Carlton Davis, but Davis has been lighting it up. So,
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Davis did have a pass interference on third down that really hurt us. Yeah.
Was this the game where Davis had his finger popped out and popped back in?
I don't know.
And then he got the interception? This is so bad. It's only been 2 weeks, and I'm like, I can't
remember
which game it was.
Yes, he had the interception in the fourth quarter. 10-15.
Yeah, and he had hurt his finger before that, and the training staff popped it back in.
Yeah, he's a tough one. These guys are not playing around. Our defense is monstrous. But like I said, I want to see more out of Vea and more out of Barrett. Not that they're playing bad, not by any means. But and I'm not even see Barrett doing a lot of moves. I've seen him do one spin move and, a couple swims and stuff like that. But really nothing out of his toolkit.
Maybe he's one of these people that needs the fans and the crowd noise.
Could be.
Could
be. I mean, it could be any number of things.
Yeah.
We've talked about this, but, it could be his, not getting a contract extension, not getting any recognition from the team or from the league, having to play on that side of the ball all the time, no fans, it could be all kinds of stuff. Or, maybe he's just saving it up. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Could be saving it up for Denver. He's going to light them up.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for this.
All right, let's go to the offense. Offense is where the action was at. I mean, the defense did very well, but the offense was where I saw a lot of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now, I'm going to say this. Last week against the Saints, we didn't play that physical. We were, to me, it looked like we were kind of playing not to get hurt. And I chalked it up to there weren't fans in the stands. It was just like, guys didn't have that extra oomph or whatever. Well, I'll be damned if they didn't have it this week. I swear to God, our offensive line was just throwing guys around like crazy. It was awesome. Yeah, we manhandled those guys, except number 53, Brian Burns. That guy's good.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, he was their first round pick last year.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. He beat Wirfs and he beat Donovan Smith 4 times, maybe 5. But he put a whooping on Donovan Smith.
Really?
And it was bad.
Oh, no.
Donovan Smith somebody's got to talk to him. And we can't put Josh
So was
Wells
it worse this game than the first game? Oh,
Yes.
no.
Yes, a lot worse. Thank God for us that Tom Brady is able to get the ball out, because there was a few plays where I'm just like, man, if that would have been Jameis Winston, he'd be dead right now. Because Burns beat Donovan Smith on 3 spin moves, 3 different times. And they were all clean as a whistle. I mean, just spin right around him and straight for the quarterback. So it's like the quarterback had less than 2 seconds to get rid of the ball. And you're like, and thank God Tom Brady was able to feel it coming or whatever and get rid of it.
And here it was, you vouched for him
I know.
in the offseason.
I know.
Donovan.
Well, there was one play, and I put this in the things I found interesting video, with the fumble. Remember the handoff with Tom Brady and Rojo? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it was Donovan Smith's guy that recovered it. Well, he might not have covered it. I'm not real sure, but he fell on it anyhow. He was, him and Donovan were locked up, and the guy sees Rojo coming, so he kind of pushes Donovan away, and then he sees the ball falling out. Now, I paused the video, and you could see Donovan and this guy are both looking at the ball. They're both standing right beside each other. They're both looking at the ball. That guy dives down, lands on top of the ball. Tom Brady dives down there. Ronald Jones dives down there. Tristan Wirfs from the other side of the line dove into the pile. Donovan Smith stood there and didn't
watched
move.
The whole play.
Didn't move. He had his arms by his side and just stood there like a statue, a foot away from the pile.
Come on, bro.
Yeah. I was just like, whoa, man, I don't know. I don't know how long that's going to last. But we can't put Josh Wells in there. Josh Wells was in for one play, and he got whooped. Well, actually, he didn't really get whooped. I think he was confused as to what the play was. Same thing that happened last year. He just seemed confused about a lot. And he let Brian Burns go right past him and get a tackle for a loss. But Ryan Jensen was just throwing people around. Alex Kappa was throwing people around. Ali Marpet was throwing people around. And we got a fly flying around in here that's driving me crazy. I can't stand flies. Damn. That's why I love spiders, because they eat flies. Keep pet spiders just to watch them eat flies. So Ali Marpet even got involved in the toughness. And I've never seen him do this before. It was, I want to say it was 33. I can't remember who it was. He just grabbed him like right by the throat and slammed him. It took him off his feet.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Our offensive line was angry about something.
Well, between that and then the late hit that he took exception to and got in somebody's face.
That's right. Yeah, and the worst was being pretty nasty, but Jensen by far was the most,
I love
as
him
usual.
so much.
Well,
in the Saints video that you did, he like hip threw. Is that what it's called? A hip throw?
Hip toss. Yeah.
Hip toss. Like 2 different people.
Yeah.
Just laid right on top of him.
I love it. Yeah, he's a nasty one, man. I like it when the big boys get chippy. There is nothing I like more.
I do too, and especially from your offensive line, like you need that.
Yeah, well, you saw it helped our running game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but Donovan Smith, you have got to step it up, buddy. You know, we would never call for anybody to get cut because you're a Buccaneer here. We are fans of the
I would
Buccaneers.
say we were the hardest on a player that we've ever been with Donovan.
Yeah. Well, and deservedly so, I think so. He's just...
And he had a
can't
fantastic year last year.
But,
I mean, the best he's ever played.
Right. But here's the thing. All of these instances where Burns beat him or he got beat by somebody didn't really affect the play. Because, like I said, Tom Brady would just get the ball out.
Yeah.
You know? And if it had been Jameis Winston, you know, he'd try to scramble and it'd be a fumble or whatever. And you're just like, wow, Tom Brady has made it. He has nullified Donovan Smith sucking.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
Silver lining.
Definitely. So our offensive line played really good. I enjoyed watching them. Our receivers, not so much.
Really?
They were dropping balls all over the place.
Okay.
Now, the one, Mike Evans was going across the middle, and Brady threw it, and it kind of went off Mike's hand. He reached out for it. It looked like it was a bad pass. Brady's arm got hit by 53, Brian Burns. He pushed 78, Tristan Wirfs, right back into Brady and then reached out and hit Brady's hands as he was throwing it. Which we did that too. 45, Devin White comes rushing in and slams into Bridgewater. Hits Bridgewater as he's throwing. Bridgewater still had his arm to his side, and somehow it was a very impressive pass by Bridgewater. He got that ball off and threw it a good 20 yards to Christian McCaffrey.
Really?
With his wrist. It was a flick of the wrist. Now, it was an ugly pass. I mean, it was like end over end. Yeah, it floated for a while.
Was that the pass where the announcers were like, "That's some kind of bird"? He called that a duck.
It might have been.
Yeah,
it might have been. But yeah, it was so sad because Devin White had him dead to rights, and had him and was wrapping him up and had his shoulder into him, and Bridgewater just does like this. He just flips his wrist.
How does it go 20 yards?
I know. I was very impressive. I paused the video and I kept rewinding and fast forwarding it like this, and just showing it. I was like, look at this. That's all he's doing to get the ball out. He's just flipping his wrist. Flicking his wrist, flipping his wrist.
That's impressive.
It was impressive. It was very impressive. Bridgewater played a pretty good game. But our defense is going to make it tough for anybody.
They're going to feast week 3.
Yeah. There was not that much holding in this game. Nothing like there was during the Saints. And we actually had a holding penalty called on us, which pissed me off. I'm like, really? After all that with the Saints, you call a dang thing, you're now going to call one against us. But we did have, if you recall, and I'm putting this in my penalty video for the Saints, which should be coming out tomorrow. We had 2 false starts in there, or defensive encroachments. What's it called? Defensive
offsides?
Nah, it's defensive
encroachment.
Yeah, we'll say encroachment. We had 2 of those. One was Vita Vea, and the other one was Ndamukong Suh. Both of those, Breeze was in the shotgun position.
Bridgewater?
No, this was week 1.
Oh, okay.
Breeze was in the shotgun position, and he flinches.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. The first one, he was under center. That's right. He had his head turned, and he turned it back and dropped his butt. And it caused 3 of our guys to jump, and Vea got called for it. In that same game, Breeze is in the shotgun position. He's got his hands out in front of him, and he just jabs his hands out a little bit, like he's anticipating a snap, and it caused Suh to come off sides. And then there was another time during the game where he did the exact same thing, and I want to say it was it was Barrett, jumped off sides, but he was able to get back. So, at least I think he was able to get back. Can't remember. My point being, 3 times in week 1, the quarterback did a false start, and we got called for neutral zone infraction. Mm-hmm. That's what it's called. It happened twice in this game. Same damn thing. Teddy Bridgewater's in shotgun formation, and he bobs his head and does his hand, and it caused.
So annoying.
Oh my gosh! Why are the refs not calling this? That's what's annoying about it. It's illegal. It's right there in the books.
Yeah.
And he did it twice. So I put that in the video for the things I found interesting. So that's been 5 times in 2 weeks we've got neutral zone infractions for the quarterbacks false starting. Refs, get on that mess. But the refs didn't do a bad job this game. Definitely nothing like Boger and his blind crew.
Oh, I forgot. One of the commenters on YouTube, and I forget who it was, said that Jerome Boger and Brady have a history.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. I wanted to look it up.
Yeah. I'll pull up the comment and we'll talk about it next time.
Okay. Works for me. So whoever you are, commenter, keep your
we'll give you some cred next time.
Give some cred.
Proper credit.
As the cool kids say. So yeah, the league really needs to start doing something about that, or at least our refs. You know, I don't know how widespread it is across the league, but these quarterbacks are getting away with flinching, you know, acting like they're anticipating the snap. They're not supposed to move at all, you know. I mean, they can't move it. They can't do any sudden movement. That's the rule. They can't do any sudden movement that simulates a snap, and they're all doing it, you know. So there we go. All right, O.J. Howard had a drop ball right in his hands. You know, of course, we all know Shady McCoy had that drop ball in the end zone. Scotty Miller had a drop ball for a touchdown. 15, yeah, man, that was a beautiful pass. He was wide open.
Cyril Grayson. Right off your helmet.
Yeah, hit him right in the head. He had his hands up, too. How does that happen? It went right through his head.
He was like half a second too fast.
Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, I mean, we totally tricked their defense. He was wide open on the sideline. It would have been a touchdown. Hit him right in the helmet.
I can recall, I think it was week 1, the offense was on the field, the Bucs offense, and Tom Brady, it was on the broadcast, and I think it was Justin Watson was getting ready to come into motion, and Tom's like, stop, wait. Like right in the middle of the play. It was just such a weird thing that I noticed during the broadcast, and I was like, it's definitely like a rhythm or a timing thing for Tom, which the receivers say that, like he wants to get a feel for where you're going to be and when. So I think he's just got this like internal clock.
Yes. And Well, here's a funny story with Grayson. Grayson is doing a great job blocking this guy. I think it was 94 from Carolina Panthers. It was a run to the outside. Leonard Fournette ends up picking up 5 yards anyhow. Well, Donovan Smith runs out like he's going to be a lead blocker out there and runs right into Grayson. Knocks him down right off his man.
Sake.
I know. And then Donovan Smith fell down. It's like, yeah, he was a mess. He was just a mess. He had one good play at the beginning of the game where he threw a guy, but it was because Marpet came over and helped him. So, yeah, Donovan's really, I don't know what's going on there, but.
Get it together, buddy.
Yeah,
he's got a newborn at home. That's rough.
Yeah, and we talked about that during the off season. It was going to be rough for him.
Well, with Jameis, I mean, we said the same thing with Jameis.
Yeah.
Like when you.
Yeah, when you got that newborn, man, you don't get sleep.
Well, just asleep, you know.
Your time is not yours anymore.
Yeah, and you just never know. You know, I mean, that whole first year. I don't think we slept through the night till about 4 years.
I still don't sleep through the night.
Well, you never did. So, talking about me, I'm the consistent
Oh,
sleeper,
yeah, you got to get your 12 hours a night.
So, I didn't start getting 8 hours again until age 4, probably.
Going back to the defense real quick, I see here in my notes in the third quarter, 44 seconds, Christian McCaffrey runs to the right end for 5 yards. both Vita Vea and Barrett missed tackles on him, and it would have been a good 4 or 5 yard tackle for a loss. They both missed him. Yeah. It's like, oh, come on, Vea, Barrett.
Did he just slip through, or they didn't even?
Yeah.
They overshot or something.
No, he slipped through. Yeah, he's hard to get, but Vea did a great job beating his blocker with a nice swim move and was immediately in the backfield and went and ended up basically belly flopping on the ground because McCaffrey jumped right out of his grasp. And then Barrett was right there, and Barrett chased him down and went to foot swipe him, and he missed him. So, Golston played good well. Everybody except Nacho. Nacho really hasn't done much.
What? This is so great. He was the training camp warrior.
I know, right?
I think he got a penalty last week. Week 1.
Yeah, but he just really hasn't done that. I mean, he hasn't gotten a lot of snaps either.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing
He's probably got
him.
30 snaps in the past 2 games.
But when you figure the interior defense, I mean, like, he comes in for Vita, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, and Golston, he comes in for Vita, right? Or no, he's on the end.
No, Golston's, yeah.
I still haven't figured out the positions now that we switched to 3-4. Like, I can't tell the difference between the...
He would be a defensive tackle, Golston.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's out there all the time. Him, Sue, and Vea.
Well,
Basically,
like with Nacho, well, when you think about Vita, like his performance this season, and then Nacho's coming in for him, so Nacho hasn't really done much better.
No.
So that position just sounds like it hasn't fared well.
Right, yeah. A lot of double teams and stuff, of course, but, you know, Vea's always played against double teams and always played well. He's just not getting that umph. And a lot of it, I think, is because teams are just getting the ball out as fast as they can against us. You know,
you have to.
You have to. You cannot sit back there.
There's too many menacing faces on that line.
Yeah,
like,
and they're doing a lot.
Pick your poison.
Yeah, you're seeing Barrett's getting double teamed a lot. You know, but we moved around so much. You know, you see them set up to like double team Barrett, and then he'll drop back into coverage, and those guys will be standing there going, "Oh, what do we do?" It happens all the time, and it's interesting.
Tricky.
Our defense is really hard to figure out. I can't ever look at it and tell you what they're going to do ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And sometimes we'll play with 5 big guys up front. You know, we'll have Nacho, Vita, Golson, Sue, and who else? I'm missing somebody there. Nacho, Vita, go. Anyhow, we'll have the big 5 beef guys up front, you know, and then we'll have like 2. We'll have David and White mixed up in there too. So you got just this big, massive amount of meat on the front line. You're like, and they don't do that very often. They've only done it like 2 or 3 times. But I'm just like, ooh, they better not try to run it. And they always try to run it. And you're like, why would you try to run against that?
What are you doing?
You can't run against
that.
Yeah. That's another thing. Our run stuffing hasn't been as good. And I think a lot of that has to do with Vita. You know, he's just not getting his strength going there, whatever.
Well, I just think that our pass defense is so much better than it was last year. So, you know, I mean, they're going to get yards somehow. Mm-hmm. You can't completely cut it off.
Yeah.
So I think with us not allowing as many pass yards, you know, it kind of comes out on the other side in the run game.
Yes. The last thing I want to talk about is Leonard Fournette.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He needs that starting job. You know, Ronald Jones, you tried, buddy. But Fournette can just, you know, some people call it vision, but it's really just being able to read your cues. And Fournette is a master at it. He really is elite level at seeing where he is supposed to go. And he follows his blockers. You know, me and you used to complain about that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, these running backs will, you know, you'll have a tight end come over and, you know, go through a hole or a fullback or whatever. And the running back decides, oh, I'm going to go over here. You know, it's like, you know, follow your blockers. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what they're there for.
The play is designed that way. Mm-hmm. You know, Fournette does that fantastically. And he reads where he's supposed to go and he executes it, you know, and Ronald Jones just does it, you know. I mean, you know, they had the same holes. They had the same guys they were playing against. They had the same offensive line. But Fournette can pop off, 40-yard touchdowns, 30-yard runs. He was averaging 5 yards a run before he got that touchdown. So he's more, I don't know, he has better vision. We'll call it that.
Yeah, I predict when's our bye? I think we have a late bye, like 13 or something. I predict by like week 8.
Really? You're going to give it that long? Wow.
I mean, it could be sooner, but
next week. If he goes to Denver and does the same thing, then he'll be the starter. Because he can catch the ball too. He had a great catch in this game. That got us in. I mean, he almost got a touchdown. I think he fell right at the 1 yard line, or was tackled right at the 1 yard line. But it was a tough catch, and he was covered by a defender, and he made the catch, and they got some yards after the catch. So, sorry, Jones. I think you're going to be relegated to second stringer.
And I don't dislike Rojo. I just, he's just young and hasn't quite developed. I mean, for them to hold that roster spot when we've got other viable options, it's one thing when the backup is Peyton Barber and Dare.
Yeah,
where you're like, yeah, they're all kind of on the same level. Just give it to Rojo. We don't depend on the run game anyway.
Yes. Yeah, and then what you saw on that touchdown pass, when he got to that second level, he had a little bit of speed on him. Fournette did. I mean, he outran the safeties. They were right there, and he outran them. That's quite impressive. So
I mean, I'm not rooting for Rojo to fail, but I wouldn't mind.
I think he'll be a good change of, not really change of pace, but he'll be a good
upgrade.
Second stringer.
It's an upgrade.
Fournette is just definitely a better running back, and it was going to be better for our team. It'll be nice to have Rojo fill in the gaps.
Yeah,
Fournette he's a 3-down back. I mean, he could be out there, 60 snaps a game. Yeah, he's a workhorse.
I mean, he was Jacksonville's whole offense, right?
Pretty much. But BA doesn't have workhorse running backs, So we'll see.
Doesn't believe in fullbacks.
Does not believe in fullbacks.
Doesn't believe in workhorse.
We're using tight ends in the passing game.
Oh, God.
He had that press conference, and
People are bringing it up this week.
Yeah, everybody's like, yo, well, you're paying Gronkowski $9 million, and all he's doing is blocking. And
not just Gronk, but I mean Cameron Brate, we're paying him too.
Yeah,
and OJ, you've got
nothing.
I know.
And he's rarely on the field. It's mainly OJ and Gronk.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: it's worth paying $9 million for Gronk's blocking ability. I haven't seen
no one else can block.
Nobody else can block.
Nobody.
Matter of fact, I did that in the things I found interesting. As I pointed out, they were both blocking side by side, Gronk and OJ, and I just did a comparison as to the different blocking ability there. Gronk is definitely the better blocker.
Would you say Brate is worse than OJ
at blocking?
Yeah.
No.
That's what I think too. I don't know. People on Twitter were saying Brate's our worst blocker, and I'm like, no, not a chance. No. OJ looks like he resents being asked to block.
You kind of get that feeling. He doesn't really put the oomph into it.
It's kind of like Vernon Hargreaves on special teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where he's like, you can tell that he's pissed about being out there.
Right.
For that reason. That's how I feel about OJ and blocking.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, because he's just basically a big body. He just gets in your way.
Yeah.
And if you go around him, he's like, I
don't care.
Yeah. And he's definitely not going to struggle with you.
Right. Right.
Yeah. It's like, I ain't going to hurt myself. I got balls to catch. So Gronk has really improved our blocking, and that's helping in our run game too. In our pass protection. I did notice that we were not doing a whole lot to Donovan's side. We seem to be moving over to the left a little bit, or to the right.
That's crazy.
Fournette was to the left, but it wasn't Donovan's. I think it was between Marpet and Jensen when he got that touchdown.
How are the running backs doing in pass protection?
I haven't noticed. That's one of the things is that Brady's getting the ball out so quick that they're not having to pass protect.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
Cool.
they're
Good, because they're not good at it.
LaShawn McCoy got beat.
Okay.
I think that was last week. Or
Okay, and he really has no excuse because he's been in the league long enough. He should be able to pass protect.
Well, the guy coming in was about twice as big as he was, and he held his own he got in the guy's way and held him up a little bit, but he did get beat, and it was for a sack. It had to have been last week. But other than that, I really haven't noticed their pass blocking, which is a good thing. It just doesn't seem like they're getting the opportunity to block that much.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yes. Yeah, it looks good. I tell you what, man, our offense it's gelling. It's looking like it's coming together. Our defense, no questions about that. No questions about our defense. They are on time and on the money. They ain't making mistakes back there. Jamal Dean made a few mistakes, but overall, they're just really, really top notch, man. Playing good football back there. Yeah. Good tackling, too. I like that Winfield.
Yeah, me too. Don't forget to vote for him for Pepsi Rookie of the Week. It's on NFL.com.
That's right. Remember last week when Mike Evans went out for that touchdown or that pass and Brady threw it, the interception, and everybody was like, whose fault was that? And it turned out to be Evans's fault. They ran that same play, and that's when Evans got that big yardage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It wasn't exactly the same play, but that was the same route between those two. Oh. And you could tell they were just very proud. They were like,
yes!
Take that. We did it. And it just shows that they're getting better. And I actually wrote it down in my notes. I said, hey, that looks like the same play. And then there was an interview with our defensive coordinator.
Clyde Christensen.
And he said that they ran it was basically the same route on that play. And they did a little bit better on it. All right, so defense is great. Offensive line is gelling, except Donovan. Running game's coming along, and it looks like our receivers are getting in sync with Tom Brady. So I think the league needs to watch out. That's all I got to say.
And it needs to start with the Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos. We're going to Mile High, and we're taking them to the ground.
Mile High. Oh,
we're going to drop them from a mile high.
I kind of feel bad for them.
I don't know who you are if you just said that.
No mercy.
No mercy. Strike first. Strike hard. No mercy.
We'll start with the injury report, and then we'll talk about their injury bug and how they fared this season and how I think we're going to do. So the injury report for Thursday, on the Bucs side, Chris Godwin with the concussion. He's been a full participant all week. Scotty Miller has a hip/groin injury. He was limited Wednesday and again on Thursday. JPP has a knee injury. He was limited Wednesday. He did not practice Thursday, but typically he's had Thursdays off. So I don't think it's injury related, although he is on the injury report. Donovan Smith has a knee injury. He was limited Wednesday and Thursday. And then Justin Watson has a shoulder injury. He did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. On the Broncos end, their injury report is quite extensive. Tackle Garrett Bowles has an elbow injury. He was a full participant Wednesday and Thursday. Tight end Jake Butt has a hand injury.
Don't say Jake, just say tight end Butt. Butte.
So unfortunate. Has a hand injury.
He gets ribbed all day long in the locker room.
I know. Why would you not change it?
And play tight end. I mean, if anything, play safety. Something. Tight end Butt. Butt, yeah, tight end. Give me some of that Butte.
He was a full participant in practice all week. Defensive end Jarrell Casey has an elbow injury. He was limited Wednesday and a full participant on Thursday. Wide receiver Tyree Cleveland had a hip injury. He was a full participant Wednesday and Thursday. Cornerback Devontae Harris had a hamstring injury. He did not practice Wednesday or Thursday. Defensive end Shelby Harris had a neck injury. He's been limited both days. Wide receiver Jerry Jeudy has a rib injury. He's been limited all week. Running back Phillip Lindsay had a foot injury. He has not practiced all week. Quarterback Drew Lock has a right shoulder injury. He did not practice all week. He is reportedly out 3 to 5 weeks. So we will talk about who we're going to face in a moment. Safety Trey Marshall has a hip/wrist injury, and he's been limited all week. Tight end Albert Okwuegbunam.
There you go.
Hooked on phonics. Had a hip injury, and he was a full participant Wednesday and Thursday. Outside linebacker Bradley Chubb did not practice Thursday. That is not injury related. So, in addition to all those injuries, they have lost, 8 players already to injured reserve.
Lord. That's starters?
No, not all of them. They only lost 2 or 3 starters.
This fly is driving me crazy.
I know. That's what with the kids. Like, they're in and out. And you're like, shut the door. I turned into my mother. You live in a barn?
Are you raising a barn?
We can't automatically look at the quarterback. I will tell you up front.
Okay, so they have lost a linebacker, Justin Strad. There's like so many consonants in that name.
And I think that as far as from the truth,
he was a rookie, their 5th round pick. He had a wrist injury that required surgery this offseason, so he has never taken a snap. Defensive end Draymond Jones, they lost him. Wide receiver Cortland Sutton, which this just happened last week. He was, of course, their number 1. He's gone. Are you writing notes for fantasy? I see you. What's that note say, Ralph? He's got 2. So wide receiver Jerry Jeudy, who was on the injury report, and KJ Hamler are starting. They're both rookies. Those are 2 receivers. So that should be fun for our defensive backs.
Yeah.
They lost tight end Austin Fort. Linebacker Mark Barron. Hey, former Buccaneer. We will not see him. He's on injured reserve.
What happened to him?
I don't know. Of course, Von Miller they lost. Defensive end DeMarcus Walker, and then cornerback AJ Bowie. So Von Miller and AJ were starters, and Cortland Sutton. Those are the 3 starters that they lost. Just very unfortunate. And then, of course, Drew Lock got hurt against Pittsburgh last week. And then, who started? What's his name? Driskel. Jeff Driskel. Gosh, I lost it in my notes. Anyway, Driskel came in and got nearly murdered. They sacked him 6 times.
Holy cow.
Pittsburgh did.
What?
6 times.
That means we could sack him 10.
I know. Like, no wonder Drew Lock got hurt. What the? And apparently Scott Smith is saying that their center is a rookie, and he struggled against Pittsburgh. So Vita might have a good day, I hope. Hopefully.
I hope so.
Maybe. Yeah. So Driskel ended up going against Pittsburgh 18 of 34. He had 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, the 6 sacks for 53 yards. That's just outrageous. 6 sacks.
For 53 yards?
53 yards.
Good Lord.
That's
all one game?
Yes. I know.
How much did their offense have in yardage? Do you know?
Oh, well, they ran for about 100 yards. So it was like, yeah. Driskel had a quarterback rating of 54.8 and a passer rating of 84.9. Melvin Gordon is their running back. He was their leading rusher for 70 yards. They had just over 100 yards rushing total. So
I forgot he went there.
I did too. Yep, got his payday there. Their leading receiver was Cortland Sutton, who of course got injured, but he had 66 yards, although 45 yards came on one pass. So not that spectacular. Their tight end was actually their third leading receiver, Noah Fant. So we might see a little bit from him. He had 57 yards and a touchdown. Their defense only had one sack against Ben Roethlisberger. And Ben did pretty well. He went 29 of 41 for 311 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception, and just that one sack. He had one receiver, had an 84-yard reception. So it sounds like to me they probably can't tackle or cover.
Sounds to me like they're in for a whooping Sunday.
Yeah. Driskel is on his third team in 3 years. He came in the league in 2018. He came to Cincinnati. Then last year he was with Detroit, and now he is with Denver. He started 8 games in his career. He's thrown for 1,944 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So it's not too bad. Positive.
Me.
Of course, we have Shaq Barrett going home, but then we will also see DeMar Dotson, who is Denver's starting right tackle.
No. Shaq Barrett's going to be going against DeMar Dotson.
He is.
Oh. Well, that's going to be a good matchup there.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right, Ralph, given all that information, what is your prediction?
Buccaneers 140. Denver 2.
Okay, let me tell you. So they played Tennessee week 1. They lost 16-14. So it was a pretty close one.
Yeah.
Of course, that was with Drew Lock.
Mm-hmm.
And Cortland Sutton. At Pittsburgh, they lost 21-26.
So two close games, one with half their team knocked out of commission.
Yes.
Which do we know which one was played at home? Denver?
No.
Tennessee?
Tennessee, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they played at Pittsburgh.
Denver's a hard place to play.
Yeah.
That thin air. I'm going to go with Buccaneers, of course. And I'm just trying to figure out how big of a margin I want to make this.
I know. I kind of overshot on my initial. I already have mine. Do you want to hear mine?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to go 31-17.
Okay.
Buccaneers.
That was our score last week. Ralph, you're really thinking outside the box here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what we beat the. Oh no, what's that? Yeah, it was 31-17.
I'm always a week behind. How about that?
My prediction.
Last week I said that the Bucs were going to win 45-10.
Yeah.
So I wasn't that off.
I wanted to do like a big. I actually revised my score prediction. My initial one was 38-19, so I bumped it down to 34-19.
Okay.
I just think between all the injuries and our team just being really good.
Yeah, and to have inexperienced quarterbacks are going to have a very difficult time with this defense.
Yeah.
So far, we played 2 experienced quarterbacks, very experienced. Some of these quarterbacks coming up are just going to have a very difficult time.
Well, and when you have so much change on your roster, it's just hard.
Yes, well,
it's really hard.
But then again, on our side, we're going to be playing at Mile High Stadium.
Yeah, that's difficult.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult. So, and they're going to have fans.
But don't
there
the
too.
balls fly through the air easier?
Farther, yeah. Mm-hmm. The kicks go further.
Huh.
Yep. But you get winded quick.
Yeah.
Hopefully they got these guys playing in those oxygen masks that remove your oxygen.
What?
Yeah. You run with them so that it makes it harder to breathe.
So you get used to it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. You don't even realize it's happening. When I lived in Colorado, it was an experience. I actually passed out biking one day. I almost got killed. Fell right over in the street. I had no idea. I didn't feel lightheaded or nothing. I'm just going do. Next thing I know, I'm laying there and there's a van squealing to a stop. It's like, oh my goodness. So anyhow, hope that doesn't happen to any of them. All right, you got anything else?
That's it.
That's it. We've got our predictions in, putting our money down at the casino. And we are going to win this week, no doubt about it. I'm not going to tell y'all what to do with your money because last time I did that, the Titans last year, we got whooped, and I said, I'm not going to do that anymore. I just cost people money. So we have a really good shot at winning against Denver, although I'm pretty sure the spread's way in our favor.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, there we go. Denver, 4:25 p.m. Sunday. Be there. Think positive. Let's get this going. Bucs are going to win it. If you want to get in touch with us, the best place to do it is YouTube comments or Twitter. Our handle is @Bucs_Observer. Molly handles all that social engineering is what I was getting ready to call it. What's it called? Social media. Look, that's how off I am. Man, I need to get in touch with what the youngins are doing nowadays. All right.
I think DMT. Is that it?
DMT. Beat me some spirit beans. Show me how to social media. All righty, that's going to wrap it up for us. Till next time.
Go Bucs.